I've always been looking for artists. I would go out too. Every day I get off of school and drive around 285 and just drop CDs off on consignment. And so that's how I learned how to do mixtapes. Just going to stores and having a very inferior product. And so it was just like learning on my feet.
The One More Time Music Podcast. Genuine conversations with genuine people about music. Hosted by Henry with a 3 and Playback Ben.
We're from Beamer Coops to Pencils. Don't want this to end, so part that one more time. Part that one more time. Part that shit like one more time. They part that one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the One More Time podcast.
One more time.
Thursday, our favorite day of the week.
One more time.
I'm your host, Playback Ben, here with my co-host.
Henry with a 3, a.k.a. the Trap Jack Black.
Henry, who do we have on the podcast today, my friend?
Welcoming in on episode 31.
Episode 31.
31. Famous American music critic, founder of needledrop.com. It's Anthony Fantano.
That's perfect, dog.
Perfect.
You'll love that. You'll love that.
I love it when Henry actually hits the nail on the head with these roasts because it's really hit or miss, but such is life.
They're not all good,
Yeah.
but they're always funny.
In all seriousness, we have the legendary producer, mix engineer, recording engineer, freaking mixtape host, DJ A&R, soon to be Masterclass owner, DJ Burn One.
Burn one.
And if you don't know the tag, stop listening right now because
appreciate you.
Fuck yourself. I'm just gonna dive right in, man.
Hey, thank y'all for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate you coming on, man. This is definitely an honor. So there's a misconception, I think, on the origin of your name. You're burning one right now as we speak, so it's kind of a perfect segue.
This is a good segue.
That's not actually what the name means, right?
No, I actually got into mixtapes really early. I mean, I got into really the internet early. Mm-hmm. And I started burning CDs like early.
Cool.
When it like meant something, you know, when people didn't have CDs, and because I came up in the tape era. So tapes and stuff like that. And
when you met a guy with CDs, it was like finding a good drug dealer. Like, oh, he's got the stuff.
And I was the guy.
Yeah,
I was the guy. Like I had that shit. Like I had the AOL chat room
setting up plays on
56K. Download one album overnight, and I'd print like 2 copies, 2-3 copies, and take them to school and sell them. And then that started me doing mixtapes. I'll take like the top 8 at 8 on V103, and I'll start selling that. And now I got a job at a mom and pop store. And this guy, 29 from IEP, he was like, why don't you do a real tape? And I was like, what's that? He was like, drama is getting like exclusives and different artists. And
he was the mold, kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of because the other tapes I knew about were like DJ Jelly and Camp and blend tapes. And I was messing around with that. But I was like, man, I'm not a technician. You know, I was like, I'm not a technician.
That was kind of like mashup style stuff, right?
It was, straight mashups.
Yeah, where you take...
They would blend like booty bass, like Planet Rock, drums, and then put like... Silk or something pushing inside of you, like an old R&B joint on top of it, and the way they would be going. Now it sounds like the Summer Walker, X for a Reason. It's like that type of vibe. Yeah. But it was like early mashups type thing, and so I love those. And then he told me about the exclusives, and so I started putting out real tapes. But anyway, so I went from kind of selling a couple bootleg CDs to I worked at a mom and pop store, and I remember we got trap music early, and I went from selling bootlegs for like $5 a piece to now I need $20. Because this is an early copy of trap music, still in the rap and everything. It hadn't even come out. I had like the early copy because we were working with a distributor. And so I was like, let me get 20.
That markup.
They were not going for the 4-time markup. Everybody was like, burn one, burn me one, burn one. I heard burn one for the next couple of weeks. And I was like, burn one. My DJ name at the time was Chaos, which somebody else already had. It was terrible.
Spelled with a K, by the way.
K-OS, terrible.
With a dash, too?
K-OS.
That's cringe.
Shout out to the dash.
Full cringe territory. Like, gosh, terrible alternative.
We got to start from somewhere, bro.
There's somebody named that. It's a cool name. It's not terrible. But for me, it wasn't. It wasn't the move.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
The beautiful connection here is where One More Time comes from. Me coming up, vocal engineering, vocal producing, and working with artists in the booth. I woke up one day and realized they all say one more time in the booth. Everyone, no matter how old, young, gender, race, like everyone says one more time. And I decided to embrace it. It's kind of like the same thing you kind of did, right?
Hell yeah. That's why good. You kept hearing it. You're like, shit, I'll run with that.
I'm going to make it mine.
Yeah, so I mean, you were always into like finding and sharing like the new, undiscovered, early shit. I mean, that was like your thing, right? What were some of the early ways? Yeah, it still is. Still is,
bro. I've just always loved discovering new artists and finding something.
Yeah, so how were you doing it early on, though?
Early on,
you know what I mean? What were some of those early
I found Gucci Mane.
Which is
similar thing. I heard Black T, the remix on Hot 107.9 in the mix show, and it was like the response to Franchise Boy's White Tee. I was like, what is this? And so I looked it up. It was Never Again Records. And so I looked it up in the, it had to have been like the Yellow Pages or something.
The Yellow Pages.
Yeah. Wow.
Never Again Records. I think I just looked it straight up.
Are those in a museum right now?
The Yellow Pages? Probably. Yeah. And I remember just calling and Gucci Mane picked up.
Wow.
That was who picked up.
It was a direct line to Gucci.
He was like, come up here right now. And so I came up there and he immediately took me, because there was like 9 people on that song. He immediately took me over to Zaytoven's house. I'm taking you to Zay's house. I didn't know who he was either.
He was doing all the beats at the time.
All the beats. And I get there and he plays me So Icy. This is a couple months before it comes out.
And then you're convinced. I'll never forget hearing So Icy for the first time.
I remember I was like, at the time I thought it was terrible because Lil Will, he auto-tuned Lil Will. I was like, you auto-tuned Lil Will? He was like, yeah, I did that. I was like, I love looking for Nicki and all that. Like, I'm a real Dungeon family. So hearing him, just the way the auto-tune was hitting, I was like, But now I realize it's like, if you have a visceral reaction to something, it means it's probably something there.
Yeah, but you mentioned you were like an internet guy. I mean, you were using the internet also. So you weren't just, tapping into like Hot 107.9 to find people. I mean, you were using like MIRC. I didn't even know what was that?
So that was like an early chat program to where...
I remember. Gamers used it, right?
Yeah, and it's like where all the people from AOL who kind of figure out how to get albums online had kind of like moved over there. It was like a better, faster protocol. And we were on there for a couple...
on there?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. And like
an early Reddit.
A homie of mine, DJ Folk, who ended up working with Jeezy.
Shout out DJ Folk.
He was on there too. But yeah, it was basically like sharing music, finding out about stuff. Pretty much all of what like kind of Twitter is now, like the what do you call it, like the water cooler or whatever, It was exactly that. And I've always been looking for artists. I would go out too. Every day I get off of school and drive around 285, which is just a big circle in Atlanta, and just drop CDs off on consignment. And so that's how I learned how to do mixtapes.
Wow.
Just going to stores and having a very inferior product and giving it to the owner. And somebody like Tobago at DVS Sound, shout out to Tobago in Riverdale. I would give him a CD and he'd be like, why is there no writing on it? And I would say, I don't know. He's like, what if it gets mixed up with other CDs? I was like, next time I came, I had writing on the CD.
There you go.
And so it was just like learning on my feet. And, one time I did something. I don't think I paid attention to the way something was blending on one of the tapes, and Playboy Trey was like, did you do that on purpose? He was like, what was that? And so I went back and listened. I was like, nah, I really didn't, So it just made me be like, all right, nothing is going to slip by me. I got to pay attention. Even if I don't know what any of this stuff means, decibels, I didn't know anything about sound quality. So for me to release music knowing nothing about it, it's kind of
crazy.
It is kind of crazy looking back to be like, I didn't know anything. And me messing up, Swing My Door, which I just normalized all the songs. I put them in this program called MP3 Gain and normalized it, which just like puts everything right up to
zero.
The same, yeah.
Yeah, and so what was the loudest thing? The 808. So it just slams the 808. It just made everything sound weird. But to this day, people are like, yo, what did you do to that bass? Like, I didn't produce the song, but I definitely fucked it up. And that's what people love about it.
Or you gave it the defining
about
characteristic of it.
Yeah, like if I wouldn't have done that, so many people were like, yo, man, that shit broke my speakers. I'm
that's
like,
crazy.
My bad. I'm expecting for them to say something mad. And they're like, no, thank you. Like I needed that. Yeah, like it was a whole thing. I was like, so I don't know. It's very something interesting about being, I guess, kind of naive or something like that, and just doing it and just
starting,
stumbling into stuff. And
I was like, I knew enough that I didn't want it to go above zero. So that's why I found that program. Right. And then later on, I'm like, oh, you don't have to do it necessarily that way. And I learned about limiters, but this wasn't until years later.
It's crazy because so many people don't start doing something in fear of that they're not good enough yet and they don't know what they're doing and they just spend so much time researching and like trying to get better. It's like there's something to be said about just starting. Yeah. Literally taking that first step and like you're gonna fuck up, and you're gonna learn. But that's like the beauty of it, I feel like. And that's something we talk about a lot is that like just start.
Throw some darts at the board.
And being okay with it.
Yeah, I do these hour-long consultations. And a lot of times it ends with the artist repeating back to me things I've said to them, which is, I need to just release stuff. And I need to, because I'm like, you're doing too much thinking without learning on your feet. You have no idea the thing I love may not be the thing somebody else loves or vice versa. You don't know until you release it. A lot of people are like, oh, I can do everything. Start releasing some songs and see what people are gravitating towards.
Yep.
You could edit
like
a song
some people
forever.
were just like, they'll just hang on to stuff forever. And it's like, just release it. Like I was so ignorant at the time, I didn't know to hold back. I didn't. I was just like, oh shit, I got some songs.
Here they are.
You know, I got some songs.
And it was the most beautiful thing that could happen.
Yeah, I'm like, and people told me to do tapes. I was like, oh, yeah.
Here you go.
Just kind of like
ignorance is bliss in some ways. Like that was beautiful.
Perfect. If I'd have known what I know now, I would not have released as much. I wouldn't have messed up Swing My Door. You know, it's like,
Yes, you were working at that record store. You know, the mom and pop record store down, I guess, south of Atlanta. Yep.
Shout out Super Sounds.
And that's kind of where you started doing mixtapes, right? Was, you know, while you were working there. What was the process like start to finish for you?
Early on, it was more exclusive style tapes, like kind of like I said, the Gangsta Grills model. And so I'd just find different artists and be like, yo, I'd hit them up and be like, do you have any songs you haven't released? That's what the exclusives were, an unreleased song from
How did you
artist.
hit them up at this point? Like, tactically speaking, like, how are you actually doing it?
I would just find somebody who knew somebody. I've always been resourceful in that manner.
Yeah.
Of just like the yellow pages and shit like that. Like
shout out the yellow pages.
The basics of, you know, like now I'd be hustling the DMs or whatever. But yeah, or I'll go and try to find somebody to meet them or find somebody who had met them or knew of them. And then luckily the Super Sounds, the CD store I worked at, had 3 locations. There was one on the south side, there was one in Decatur, and one in Greenbrier.
So you kind of had like
there was one everywhere.
Pockets. And for those that don't know,
like when,
east side, west side, south side of Atlanta, right?
Yeah, and then when Outkast came out with Speaker Box Love Below, I was at the Greenbrier location while they were doing the signing, behind the counter, standing beside Andre the whole fucking time.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was me. I was standing right beside him.
Is there a video of that somewhere?
There's a picture somewhere for sure. Okay. But I was like,
if you see a goofy guy with glasses, it was Burn One behind Andre.
Which is full circle because Big Boy was right beside him. And then like 3 years ago, we did the first song on the Superfly soundtrack. They did a reboot for the Superfly movie. And we did a song with Sleepy Brown and Scar from Dungeon Family.
Oh, wow.
Huge. And Big Boy was the reason why I went on the album.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, so you'd hit these people up. They'd agree to let you.
They would say, yeah, here's a song I got. And I would just go ahead.
Why would they trust you?
Because,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
because at the time, now mixtapes are slowly starting to become a thing. Like I said, Gangsta Grills, Drama, and Cannon, all of them has started dropping mixtapes. And then other people like Scream, Black Bill Gates. There's all these people that are starting to crop up that are releasing these things. And now it's working. And now it's a thing of you want to get your songs on mixtapes. Kind of like now how people want to get their songs on playlists.
It's the new cool thing.
You wanted to be on the mixtape.
Yeah. But so you'd hit them up. They'd agree to
So like Young Dro. Let's take Young Dro. This is a prime example. Because the exclusive tapes was just me reaching out to people. I get 15 songs, put it together. The series was called Gorilla in the Trunk. And so I had a bunch of different Gorilla in the Trunks. And like T.I. hosted my second one when I was in my senior year in high school. And so that was what really gave me like legitimacy. And then I could finally start going to Grand Hustle and start being in a real studio. Before then, I was just at the house. I had people recording in my house, but it was just like a little Radio Shack mic and whatever. That was the first time I saw Pro Tools, and Big Country showed me. Like, I asked him, I was like, what's the yellow thing? He's like, it's a kick, man. I was like, what's the red thing? That's a snare.
On Pro Tools?
Yeah. And I'm still like, I don't know what any of that stuff is. Once I started going around Grand Hustle, that allowed me there just to let me just be the guy in the back of the room, like just this kid. Yeah. He was like, who's this fucking kid in here? Because I was just,
he's just keeping everything going.
Just sitting in the back, just asking questions. And Dro, this guy keeps coming in. He's like a larger than life character.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy's so funny. I love
Dro.
Let's do a mixtape. He was like, I don't really have any songs like that. And so I kind of went through some of his older material and grabbed a couple songs. And then I was like, I'll just start giving you beats. And I wasn't even producing at the time. So I got him beats like 8 Ball and MJG and the Linkin Park and Jay-Z joint and just a bunch of different beats. So I would just pull up every day. I didn't even have his number. He was just like, pull up on me every day. I was like, every day.
You were just rolling the dice. He was like, he's around.
Yeah, and I'm driving from like McDonough at this point to downtown Atlanta every time, just on pure faith. So just driving up there sitting.
Please be there. Please
just
be
sitting
there.
And then hoping he comes through. And more times than not, he would come through with a crate. And he would just have all these rhymes. And he'd be like, pull some beats up.
A crate of notebooks?
Yeah.
Wow.
Of just bars.
Wow.
Just bars, not even songs, just straight raps.
Not in any order.
No bar length or nothing. Just
so you could be like, all right, say this 4, and then the first 2 of this one.
If I knew what I know now, but back then he would just be like, pull a beat up, and then he would just rifle through.
Yeah.
And be like,
Land on.
That
I
got
good.
it. Yeah, he was like, I got it. He would just go in there and lay it down, and I'd be like, awesome.
It's like song roulette, bro. It's crazy.
Awesome.
Just flip through some options.
And so then I put all those together, mixed some of his old songs and some of the new stuff. And it just so happened the week that the tape came out, Shoulder Lean got serviced to radio. And so I got put in rotation at Hot 107.9. And like a week later, I saw him. He was like, yo, man, thank you. He's like, everybody's saying they're a fan of me now. He was like, the song, people like Shoulder Lean. He's like, but people said the mixtape, they're a fan of me. He's like, nobody's ever told me I'll have fans. And I was selling him on a body of work just because I always loved albums growing up.
Yeah.
I was like, if you had a body of work, I'm like, you're rapping your ass off. If you had a body of work that people could be. And so kind of like mixing some of the old with the new, it kind of gave people like, oh shit, this dude's dope.
It's like a third dimension or a fourth dimension, you know? You can become a fan of an artist. You can think you like an artist off a hot single, but to be able to like experience a project is definitely another level.
But also, so how were you killing it though? So obviously you were working at the record store and you were trying to be in
every day I'm going out to these stores. I'm telling you, every day I'm going out to these stores, learning and applying. Yeah. And so I would drop, because the way consignment works is you drop 20 CDs off, and then you'd probably wait a week or two and then come back and they'll be like, oh, I sold 15. And then you drop off another, they'll give you the money for that and you drop off another 5, 15 or whatever. And so through that, just the consistency of how much I was releasing, because I was dropping these Gorilla in the Trunks like every 2 months.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of material to consistently have out. And then I started doing the artist tape.
And just driving to every CD store in the Metro Atlanta area.
Every single one.
And
back then, like now there's not.
Entrepreneurial spirit, man. It's very
now
clear.
There's not any. So that's sad. But back then, I could just just drive up and just hit the Southside and hit DBS Sounds and 2 other stores because I'm going to stay and talk. I'm going to kind of learn because I know I'm still like
soaking.
Yeah, I'm soaking game every time because I know they know way more than me. And if I just kind of am just around them. So sometimes I would just hang out in the store.
Yeah, so you mentioned Gucci. Let's just go ahead and talk about Mr. Gucci Mane. So is it true that you actually got him into doing mixtapes?
Yeah. If you read his autobiography, he tells the story in there of how I basically told him all about mixtapes and the blueprint of how he could use it for what he was doing.
So do we have Burn one to thank for all these low key for all these Gucci mixtapes? Are you kidding me, man?
He did the work. He did the work.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Give us the cliff notes of like from someone who wasn't doing mixtapes. What was the pitch? Like, how were you successful in convincing him to do it?
So to pick up from him playing Me So Icy, in that moment, I asked him, let's do a mixtape. And he was like, what's that?
He didn't even know.
No idea what it was.
Crazy.
And so I was like, I explained it to him.
Had no idea what it was.
I explained it to him and he was like, all right. He's like, I don't want to do that. I'm focused on my album. I was like, I appreciate the honesty. A lot of people just blow smoke up your ass with me later and then make you call them 1,000 times and they'll pick up.
That's
like,
real.
This is great. I loved him not bullshitting me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. And so a year later, I think he had went to jail for something and got out and then released a song and it didn't do too well. And it's kind of one of those things, if you release one single in Atlanta, we've had a lot of one-hit wonders. So I think people were kind of writing them off in that lane. And he hit me up out of the blue. He was like, hey, what was that thing you were talking about again? I was like, a mixtape?
It's called a mixtape.
Yeah. He was like, let's do that. And so in the book, it picks up with me, we're leaving Zay's house, and I was telling him all about how 50 Cent was releasing mixtapes and doing shows and getting show money. And he didn't have to worry about a label because he wasn't putting out full albums with all the stuff that entails.
Right.
He was putting out this. So I knew he would go for the money aspect,
you
right?
You kind of dodged the label.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, you could just get straight to the fans and you can worry about your own show money and then the album stuff y'all can work out, how you work it out. And so that was very appealing to him because he was, at that point, he's beefing with the label. Unbeknownst to me, like they're not getting along. So this was like
great timing.
This is the thing the fucking kid said. He's like, let's run that. And so I told him about it, and then we spent the next month. He gave me a bunch of songs, and then we got in and recorded a lot and spent a lot of time.
But so tell us like the Greenbrier Mall like promo story for Chicken Talk. Like
this is a legendary story.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're at the discount mall. Yeah.
Oh,
the discount mall.
Okay.
Yeah, hell yeah. So the discount mall. So around that time, so we did Chicken Talk.
So it was
I
you
took
and
the
Gucci
cover
at
for
the
it.
mall, right?
I took the cover for it and executive produced it. Decided to make it 2 CDs because he wanted to make it one album. I was like, the No Limit thing is kind of too old. I was like, let's just do 2 CDs. And so we went to the discount mall. The first day we got them pressed up. Me and him and my RAV4 I think I was in a RAV4, either that or the little red truck, one of them. And we went, I went inside, he stayed in the car. And I remember taking like 40 of these double disc in there. And at the time, we would wholesale them for like 2 a piece for single, but because it was a double, it would be like 4.
Is it 20 units? 20 plus? Or about 20, yeah.
So I had like 20 at like $4 a piece.
Okay.
But they were used to getting them for $2 a piece because they were single. And so I told them, I was like, yo, I got this new Gucci man.
They said,
looked at it.
Who?
Dude looked at it. He was like, how much you want for it? I was like, $4 wholesale, wholesale. He was like, man, don't nobody want this. He's cold. And like gave it back to me, like kind of in a movie-ish, like pushed it back on me, like get the fuck out of here, kid, because I was still young at the time.
Yeah.
And
took an L right there.
And
that guy
I was like, all right. I knew this shit was dope. I was like, I didn't know what it would be, but I was like, I knew it was dope. I'm like, all right, cool. So I walked out to the car. He didn't know I had Gucci in the car with me. By the time I get out there, Gucci's got Chicken Talk cranked in the car, and everybody's surrounding the car.
Yeah.
And I was
started
like,
a parking lot party.
Yeah. And so we just started selling them in the parking lot.
Free promo, just
right
like that.
there. Just started selling a couple. And it's not enough. It's like maybe 15 people around. But we're starting to sell them, and the dude walks out, and he sees what's going on. He's like, man, let me get 40 of them.
Wow.
I just heard that story, and I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Make you a believer.
Yeah. So throughout this whole time, starting to do the mixtape thing, right? Were you producing at that point?
No, I didn't.
Other than the stuff in Acid that was the blends and whatever, not really,
not making beats,
producing and making beats, really, right?
No, I didn't start producing until like maybe 2007. I mean, I remember when we were doing Chicken Talk, I was just starting to mess around with Reason, but it was all like weird 80s beats? Pops beats.
Did you ever try and play beats?
That's not any of mine, because I was just doing weird 80s retro pop shit. Like, so it sounded like super early Calvin Harris. Like, I don't know if you heard any of Calvin Harris like super early stuff, which sounds like crazy retro. It's actually really dope, but it sounds kind of like that.
Kind of disco.
So not infused. In the vein of Gucci.
Fuck no. It was not. And it was just pure exploration. I was just finding stuff and being like, oh, that's cool. And then you just leave it and start a new thing before you got past 8 bars or something like that.
So when did the production thing start, picking up? Like, was there a certain artist that you started to work with that kind of set it off for you, or like a project you were tapped in with? Like, kind of when did the production career of yours, kind of jumpstart?
I think around 07, 08. I think I kind of just started being like not thrilled with the music I was getting. I was working with fire rappers like Freddie Gibbs and Pill and
Love Gibbs.
All these artists. I was working with them, but it just not their beats, but just a lot of beats, period. I just wasn't liking. I feel like there was a time in hip hop where people got away from sampling so much, and they're using keyboards, but they don't really know how to play the keyboard. So it's kind of just like plinky plunky, and the beats aren't very memorable.
Yeah, sounding basic.
There was like a whole space of a couple years of that before original sample creators or loop makers, whatever you want to call them, before they started being prevalent. So it was just like not a good time for music. And I was like, instead of me complaining about it, let me just take a year off and make 5 beats a day. And so that's what I did for a year.
Let me just show them how it's supposed to be done.
Did you miss a day?
I wish I would have just marked the calendar, but honestly, for what I remember, consistent. I remember it being 5.
That's a lot of.
I don't remember like missing.
Damn.
I don't remember like missing time or feeling like
That's
ever
incredible.
like, oh man, I'm not keeping my word.
Henry?
Like,
it's almost 2,000 beats.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I can't say I've done it, but it's very inspiring.
And they're not all winners, but you go back and you're like, oh
of course
shit.
not.
I like worked through me sounding like my heroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was able to kind of work through that, which you still kind of hear. Like you hear, because I wasn't planning on doing anything with those beats from that first year, but Starlito got the beats from Renaissance Gangster from that year, and then A$AP Rocky got Houston Old Head and Rolling Up from that same batch too.
Mm-hmm. Just Houston Old Head was you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay.
That was at the.
Awesome. I actually just listened to an A$AP Ferg interview, and like just hearing all about the early A$AP Mob shit was like super dope.
Yeah. It was super dope to be a part of that.
They were trying new stuff that was like not typical New York shit. They were hopping on Houston like type beats and just all different kinds of shit, which was like Midwest beats and shit. So obviously jumping on something that you made, you weren't a New York producer by any means. So like that, I feel like that's kind of in that same vein.
They broke some ground.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I had a blog called Boulevard Street that I created that same year because I was like, I need a hobby. I was like, let me just talk about the music that I'm finding. And so for all the music, I brought some writers on and stuff. And so it was just a blog where we posted music. And that's where I actually first heard of Rocky. It wasn't even A$AP Rocky at the time. It was just Rocky.
Just Rocky, yeah.
It was a song called Been Around the World. I think Yam sent it to me. And I was like...
Rest in peace.
I remember posting it. Hell yeah, rest in peace.
Yo, he was literally...
Big shout out.
Hearing more and more interviews, I didn't know too much about what Yams was doing, but like, holy shit.
Making it happen.
He was an architect, for
sure. He was, yeah. I mean, from the like cultural stuff they were doing and the music stuff. I mean, he was really the kind of maestro, like behind the whole movement.
Well, you wouldn't know it. He kept it very...
Yeah, definitely. So that's hard. So you mentioned Starlito. So was that kind of, you think, like the Renaissance Gangster project, was that kind of what kick things off for you, like, on the producer side of things?
For production, hell yeah. Because for a while I was trying to make this thing happen called Mick Vegas. And it was going to be a production team.
Okay.
I just like the thought of multiple people being called a one person's name.
Like Travis Porter?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I love that. It's so dope. And so I was like, Mick Vegas will be like a crew of like dope musicians and me.
Yeah.
You know? Like and it'll be fire. And then it ended up just kind of like me producing under a pseudonym for a while.
You were Mick Vegas?
Yeah, because it was just me and I hadn't recruited anybody yet, you know? And so I was like, fuck.
But he was a visionary though. He knew it was good. No, because obviously you end up building a production team.
I did. As soon as I killed it off. As soon as I let that dream die of Mick Vegas, I was like, done. That's why on Renaissance Gangster, you hear Starlito say, R.I.P. Mick Vegas, welcome back, burn one.
That's hilarious.
Because I told him, I was like, done trying to make this thing happen. I was like, I'm trying to make this fucking production crew happen. And as soon as I let that go, I'd already knew Walt, but we got back in contact. And then we got together with Ricky.
Shout out Walt. Yeah. And shout out Ricky.
Yeah. And so we formed, DJ Brown and the 5 Points Bakery from that point on.
Shout out 5
That
Points
became
Bakery.
what I wanted Mick Vegas to be.
Yeah. What's the I guess origin of the 5 Points Bakery name?
The 5 Points Bakery, we always say we cook up fresh, no GMOs.
I love
like
that.
everything from scratch.
When I heard that, fresh ingredients, I was like, that is hard.
Fresh ingredients,
Organic.
everything from scratch.
Organic.
Yeah. I feel like
gluten-free.
It's kind of like we're real life chefs in the kitchen when we're working. Like for real, like the way we add the stuff and then season it and all that stuff is very.
Everyone has their specialty.
Yeah,
they kind of add what they do best.
And I like the 5 Points vibe just because I feel like every time when I was on tour, there was a place called 5 Points
in like every city. Yeah,
every place, and it was always like not trendy, but it was always a place where everybody was accepted, and it was just like the more unique you are, the cooler you are. I like that. That was a cool vibe.
That is cool.
And so I was like, I like that thought of, and then just put the 5 Points Bakery together. Yeah.
What's the team dynamic like? Like, what are some of the pros of having a team, like, production wise? And then do you see any things that you guys struggle with? Because it seems like for me, it would be hard, but I don't know. That's just.
Man, it's all pros. It's all pros. It's all pros, because it's fire because we all create on our own as well. Like we create together and then we create on our own. So if anybody's down or life's going on, it's like, fuck, I didn't make any beats this week or whatever. Ricky's then sent me fucking 20 beats, or Walt's then sent some beats. Or,
you hold each other up
every time, and it doesn't miss. It doesn't miss. Two can be down, and somebody else is just like shooting. It's like
it's almost like when if you have that week off, and someone sends you some stuff that they've been doing that week, it reinvigorates you and remotivates you to then go hard that next week. Right?
Absolutely,
it's just cycles.
Yeah, I was down with the flu last week, and Ricky was sending me heat, and I had to bring the MPC up to the bed. I got the MPC live too. You just got the speaker on. Sounds great. It's better than a Beats pill. So I just sat there in the bed and made me like 6 beats.
Bed beats are underrated.
That's dedication.
I've started a couple beats in bed, and it's a different vibe.
It really
He was sick though, not just sleepy. Okay, Henry.
Sick beats for real.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but the team vibe is great. At the time it was me, Walt Live, Go Ricky Go, and the Professor. And he was playing bass, Ricky's playing guitar, and Walt plays keys and sax and harmonica and some other instruments. And so one of us will do the drums, and then we'll kind of come in. Now, if we're not together, we kind of create. But when we're together, we try to plug in and play. And so we do this show at Tree Sound called Tree Church of Sound. And so
Tree Church of Sound.
That's
yeah.
dope.
And so basically what we're doing, we've released a couple episodes, but what we're doing is us and the crew and whoever else is around plugs in on these vintage instruments up at Tree Sound. We got like Fender Rhodes, Wurlitzer, B3, Leslie Oregon, Baby Grand, amps and all that good stuff, different synths.
The lineup.
Yeah, and so we all plug in and we'll just jam for like a couple hours, sometimes one, sometimes it stretches to 4 hours, and then we'll have a special guest producer like DJ Toomp. We have his episode up, DJ Spins, we have an episode up with him, M16, we just shot one, it's super dope.
You know, we talked about the kind of mixtape era for you, we talked about kind of getting the production team going, that's obviously alive and well. You hinted at it before, but you know, you were a tour DJ for a little while. You've supported a few different artists, right? Who are the few artists that you've...
I've toured with Bubba Sparxx, Yelawolf, and Rittz.
Okay.
Were you on the road with him around Trunk Music time?
Yeah. We went on tour with Wiz Khalifa right when Cushion Orange Juice came out.
Oh my God.
It was the Deal and No Deal tour.
Man.
That's hard.
And it was
I would
pretty
love to go
interesting
back in
because
time and see that show, man. That's got to be great. Any of them.
it was a dope vibe, especially
Man.
the college shows. Those were
Yeah.
super dope. But it was interesting because at the time, we didn't really know who he was. And so we're out
Wiz.
there, who Wiz was.
Yeah.
And I remember he's packing out these thousand people venues easy.
Yep.
And people know all the words to these songs, and I have not heard these songs. He had one single to Say Yeah, and he wasn't even performing that, I don't think.
Say Yeah.
He was doing all mixtape shit.
Wow.
I think How Fly was out.
With Currency?
Yeah.
One of my favorite collab mixtapes.
Clear the
of all time.
runway, baby. I remember that. I remember
Get
watching
money
that.
from
I was like,
Sunday
I
to
fuck with that, whatever that song
Sunday,
is.
yes.
And then he was doing, he started doing Mesmerized off Cushion Orange Juice. And I was like, damn, that shit's
That's one of my
jamming.
favorite songs. Like,
And like halfway through it came out. So it was interesting seeing like somebody and being like not knowing anything about him to him just dropping a classic tape while you're on tour. You're like, oh. Like
it's
that's how I
crazy
met
that
Cardo.
you didn't know him though.
That's how I met Cardo. I know. It was interesting because
Just being
at
so
that
on top
time,
On the
of,
mixtape
like-
game.
Yeah,
you know? There
and
weren't
on the
too many.
internet game. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that you didn't. That you.
The only
ran
thing I
into
can
someone that
attribute
was,
it
you
to
know-
is sometimes I go in a bubble when I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, maybe the producer.
So
bubble you were in or
sometimes I don't
something.
always, like I saw Frank Dukes had sent me a DM like some years ago saying he loved our work. He was a fan. I was like,
Oh,
You missed that for years?
bro, this is before he blew up too, I think. Or like maybe one of the first years. I was like, I
Frank.
miss Frank Dukes. I'm like, Frank Dukes.
We'd love to
Love to
have you on the
podcast, though,
Frank.
for sure.
Hey, holla at your boy, bro.
Yeah.
Holla at your boy.
And send Burn One's DM back, please.
I know I hit a return 8 years later. I was like, how did I miss this? But sometimes while, because really when we got together, like what was it like when we formed? We were together 4 or 5 days a week, jamming for 15 hours a day. That's
Crazy.
absolutely what it was.
Wild.
Damn.
For at least like 2 years. So that's why
What was
like the
the
5 beats a
output
day
like?
is like, that was nothing.
Yeah, well, I
that
was
was
gonna
just
say,
a
what
warm
was
up to.
Yeah, what was the output like? Like, how many songs were you guys working on?
We were doing
day?
a lot of stuff. And around that time, we were producing Scotty's first project, Summer Dreams.
Scotty ATL.
We had found Scotty
Shout out.
over at Block Studio, him and Jacquees. And Scotty
Shout
had
out
a
Jacquees.
song. I was like, I like this song. He was like, let's do a tape. And then we did Summer Dreams, and that went to like Spin's top 50 projects of the year and all this stuff just out the gate.
So were you
So that was
producing though for Scotty at that point? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and we were producing for
Yeah,
Rittz.
so when he said, "Let's
so we were
do a
doing like
tape."
Ritz's first project, like his first 2 projects. What was it, White Jesus?
White
and then
Jesus.
the one that came out on Strange. We were producing all that stuff. Yeah, we had a lot. Like around that time, we released like a lot of music.
Yeah.
A lot of music.
That's the key, I think.
I mean, 15 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. You better.
A
What
lot
else
of
are you
stuff.
doing?
Yeah, Ricky and Walt released and D-Face project. Ricky dropped the album. We dropped some instrumental projects. The Ashtray that did real
So
good.
the Ashtray is actually, and I'm probably rare here, but the Ashtray was my first exposure to you. I just really attribute it to the time I was like getting into weed and starting to smoke, and I'd be in my car a lot of times when I would roll up, and I remember being into Gucci mixtapes, Wayne mixtapes, and that kind of stuff, and I was just looking for like stuff to kind of smoke to when I was like sneaking, parking my car in some neighborhood and smoking a blunt.
Shout
by
out those
myself.
days, man.
Shout out. And I just remember seeing DJ Burn One, the Ashtray, and I was like,
This sounds
this
about
will
what I
probably
need.
ride. Like, this is probably
Yeah.
just what I need. And I remember like just not even, it just repeating forever and just me losing like track of time. So that was a lot of fun. That's, I feel like not a lot of people maybe discovered you from your instrumental tapes though, right?
Yeah, different ways. Yeah.
Probably from hosting more so.
A lot of people listen to the Ashtray. That got out there a lot. Shout out to my boy John Gotti at the smoking section.
Shout out.
He helped. He did a thing to where you had to like pay with the tweet. It's like all this little stuff as creators we don't think about that it takes somebody.
How does that work?
So it was like a pay with the tweet thing that he had set up through the smoking section, his blog at the time, because this is blog era. And so basically to download it, you could download it for free, but you would have to give your it access to your Twitter. So it would say, I listened to DJ Brown Ashtray. Like that right there, I think got people like you to see it because none of our stuff has ever really been promoted like that outside of us just releasing it through our avenues. We never like put a whole bunch of money into advertising and stuff like that. So I think just that alone got way more eyes on it than people who would just listen to it and maybe tell their homies about it but not tweet about it.
So you've talked about a bunch of different things that you've had your hand in. I mean, you alluded to the work that you did on the Superfly reboot, right? With Big Boy and Sleepy.
Yeah.
That's hard. Obviously, you've been, recording at, a young age. You've done some mixing, producing, tour DJ, all these different things. I mean, you've been considered like a Renaissance man, if you will. I mean, you really do have your hands in like a lot of different things. Are there any other like things that, you kind of have been getting into recently that, are different revenue streams for you or like opportunities for
NFTs.
you? You know what I mean?
Come on, bro. NFTs.
Man, shout out NFTs.
Air horn that bad boy a couple times. NFTs, if anybody gets anything, because it's the way artists are going to take back ownership in the digital age.
Yep. The fans will become the label. It's going to be beautiful.
Absolutely. I have homies like Domino who are allowing people to mint at their own rate his song. My bad.
That's all good.
His song. Mint his song. And so now you have a copy of his song. You're supporting him for far more than, what a normal album buy or something like that would be.
Or streaming it however much you would stream.
He's crushing it, And it's like, there's all these different platforms like Async. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Async art, to where it's like you put it up there and break it down into stems. And then people can buy different versions. Maybe this has the drums and the bass. And
that's
the
crazy.
Vocal. This one doesn't have the vocal. Bro, it's crazy. I just applied yesterday for the second time. Async art, get me in here. Come on.
Get him in there, Async art.
We're shouting you out. Shameless plug. Come on. We'll give you a shameless plug.
He'll make
it worth it for you. Clearly a hard worker.
Come on, bro. We're going to do some dope shit.
So would you say NFTs are the next, like, when you saw mixtapes really early, this is the next thing you're seeing?
Yes. Absolutely. Like, NFTs and the blockchain are a way to show digital provenance. Like, the way, like, imagine if you could be, like, first, and it's like, it's on the ledger. The whole appeal of the blockchain is that it's immutable. It's not going to change. Yep. So when something goes on there and you say, you created this token, that happened. And everybody can see it.
It's proof.
And everybody can see it. Yep. And so it's like, now you can release your artwork in all these different ways. Like the way there's all these new collectors of people who have so much crypto money. People who got in on Bitcoin when it was $5 or whatever it was.
Shout out my buddy Pat.
Shout out Pat.
Ethereum, all that.
Yeah.
There's all these people and they want to support artists. And so now it's like if you do 3D art, if you do drawings, if you do any type of art, music, you can go online and there's people who will pay you money. I saw my boy Rome Fortune.
Shout out Rome.
Sold a music video the other day. Came out with a new music video and sold it. I'm like, that's super dope.
Yep.
That's super dope. Like,
people don't realize, they think it's all about the art. It's the contract. It's the smart contract. That it's the record of it on the blockchain that's powerful and can have its perks, and people can get really creative with how they do it.
Yeah, and so like one thing that I did and that we've done a lot of is collaboration. So we found different visual creators, and like Noe in Korea, South Korea, we did like a 3-minute time lapse piece. He shot it in Seoul, and it was just like all these time lapses of people walking through these kind of like cyberpunk style cities. And so we scored it and sold it for a couple of Ethereum.
Wow.
It was up for a couple months and then it finally sold. But we've been finding different visual creators to work with. But now platforms have automatic splits. Mm-hmm. And so say you have music and you're missing a creator or something like that, go on Twitter. Twitter's where it's happening, Twitter and Discord. And find somebody of the other side. You can just release a song or you can just release art. Either one, but I find they kind of help each other, at least to get the ball rolling for you in it.
So other than NFTs, are there any other like things that you're excited about, like that could, potentially transform music or just that are kind of going on in the industry?
And by the way, my most viral TikTok is about NFTs. A lot of people know me as an NFT guy, which is not exactly what I am, but I share your
what were you saying?
Opinions. Kind of talking about how they can replace labels.
Yeah.
And like doing like a hypothetical scenario with some crazy numbers talking about making $1 million instantly for some, a little bit of clickbait sprinkled in there. And that went kind of crazy. So I'll probably post a clip of this and people are going to just continue to think I'm the NFT guy, but we'll take that for now.
But if you want someone who really knows a lot about NFTs,
hit up DJ Burnwell.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing also too about NFTs is that you can give access.
Special access. That's what I'm talking about in the...
Yeah, so as I'm doing
like
this masterclass, I'm wondering if I should release this, because the pre-order is closed until I release it here in a couple weeks. So I'm wondering if when I release it, if I don't release it as an NFT and some type of access comes with that. Because you see like UFC wrestlers, they'll give you like a ticket to their fight.
You get
like the 3D model.
Every show.
You get like the 3D model for your wallet, for your crypto wallet.
Yeah.
And then you get a ticket to the show, and then you get to meet them backstage.
It's crazy.
Every fight. As long as you hold the NFT.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
and
super.
you can transfer it to someone and then they get the...
That means this can be
access.
anything.
That's
anything.
so cool.
That means this can be anything. So my mind is open for this masterclass of like, damn.
Yeah, tell
how
us
can I
about the
really-
masterclass.
So it's something I've been wanting to work on for a while. I've done a lot of like seminars and talking and showing people stuff.
And like consultations you do.
A lot of
Yeah, a lot
consultations.
of those, right?
And I feel like there's a lot of similarities with a lot of things. And then also I just want to put everything in one place for people who care.
Yeah.
Just for people who care. I thought a while I was going to do YouTube content and all that. I'm just not consistent enough to release video content. It's
pretty relatable.
Shout out the consistency
I'm not.
that is
Maybe I
needed.
could batch something, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I can't consistently
This guy
do.
gets it, man.
We're having
You know?
flashbacks right now.
Yeah, I can't.
PTSD from Henry realized that maybe the YouTube consistency is a little bit tougher than a lot of people envision.
I want to do so much with every video. It's long form, I want it to be like
Takes a lot of
entertaining.
time.
It's a long time, man.
It's
That's-
a commitment
bro,
to be
I
I
a
can do a
YouTuber.
TikTok a day, though.
That's exactly what led me to the masterclass, because I'm like,
Yes.
well, then I'll just
Make
do a
all
whole
the content
video about it.
up front. And
Yeah.
then you just package it.
And then I could put it all in one place. And then after that, if we got questions, we could talk questions. But I feel like there's so much that at this point I take for granted. And I see it every time we work with a new musician or a new producer or somebody who's struggling later on and trying to just find inspiration. They keep using the same sounds. Like there's certain producers we've helped like revitalize their sound and give them the sounds that like, oh shit, like this
That's
is
wild.
the sound I've been looking for, like people we look up to.
Yeah.
And then working likewise with people like David Banner, who I engineer for him, and we've been working on the God Box too.
Shout out ABV.
ABV,
A Banner Vision.
a Banner Vision. And
Is that his like
Bro.
label or production company or what?
yeah,
is it?
production company.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and bro, he's so on me about getting it to sound big and bright and in your face, and he's really pushed me to be great, And so it's nice to have a collaboration like that of somebody that like pushes you and
Keeps you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Shout out David Banner. Wow. I wouldn't
Banner.
have guessed that, but I love that.
Yeah, so it's a master class on producing, right?
Yeah,
Or
so-
like what's kind of the theme behind it?
So it's on producing all the way from working with artists to working with musicians, dealing with egos, dealing with the business side of it.
Oh, cool. Some of that.
Yeah,
It's important.
yeah. It's like we're
That's
gonna
the
go
stuff
deep
that no
on.
one talks enough
A lot of people
about.
don't like to talk
That
about that.
honestly matters so much more than
More.
the fucking technical ones and twos of like placing
Tell
a
'em.
kick drum in the right place.
Tell him, man.
I mean, I don't. And once again, I'm not a producer, but like just kind of
It's like-
witnessing that stuff. Like,
It's like, how do you live with having big checks and then being in between and not
Right.
having them be as
the
consistent
inconsistency
as,
of
There's
royalty.
all
Trying to
types-
live off of
and
placements
advances
is a
and-
nightmare.
Yeah, and there's all types of stuff that runs the gamut of just like I said, business and all that. But then we'll get into arrangement and music and how to create your own samples, drums, just everything top to bottom. Literally everything I could think about.
Yeah.
But just as concise as possible and just showing different options. That's what the masterclass is called, options.
Options.
Yeah.
That's the theme.
And so it's
dope.
just like, because I always feel like just as a producer, we have a tool belt. And then the more techniques and stuff we learn, it's just more tools,
More tools
more
in the belt.
options. Yeah, you can be like, oh shit. Well, for this
you
one
got
right
plenty
here,
of
like,
ammo.
yeah, like I was filming the other day and I was showing intros of like different ways. If you just have just the music loop playing for 8 bars, or the drums and the loop is already playing, or if you hear the drums by themselves and then the music stops and then the beat comes in, or all that plus a snare hitting really loud right before the drum
drop.
The one.
Yeah.
That's the best. You know, it's like putting all that together. How do you get to this point? And then maybe you don't need all those. Maybe you don't need the big snare on this one or whatever. But now you see how we got to that point, and now I'm just showing you this is how you make an impact right here. Because I like to look at songs as like a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're kind of going up the hill, then the drop, and then all that. But I was listening to Sting talk the other day, and he was saying arrangements to him are like storytelling. Mm-hmm. So it's like the bridge is his moment for redemption before the last hook, you know? And I'm like, damn, that's dope, you know? But I kind of look at it in that way too. It's just like you're telling the story by the way the song builds and changes. I love growing up on albums like Aquemini.
Yes.
Shout out to
So
Organized
good.
Noise. Those are some of my big brothers.
Yes.
And man, just hearing that, it's like, oh man, you can really do that. So I feel like I just overall want the world to have better music.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things of like, there's so many things that are just so second nature to me to where I get it, I'm like, oh, you don't know that. And I learn stuff too. I learn stuff every day. But I'm like, I have so much that I've just accumulated over just obsessively watching interviews and masterclasses and being able to sit up under people like DJ Toomp and just watch him make beats for a long time.
We were actually
Mr.
talking
DJ.
the other day too. Sometimes it's very simple stuff. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how, you know, I guess someone said it only takes a third grader to teach a second grader. Stuff that might even feel like second nature to us, but it could really help someone just by talking about it.
You know, he mentioned the roller coaster that has been his career. I mean, Henry, I think we're on a roller coaster right now for this final segment of the One More Time podcast.
We're on the final segment?
We are on the final segment.
Okay. Burn One, if you're not familiar with the One More Time podcast, it ends
familiar.
It ends with a rapid fire rampage. Shout out to the rapid fire rampage. It's going to be a 3-part rampage. It's going to start off with some short answer questions. It's going to be a little this or that. You get a couple options. Pick one. It's going to end off with some word association. I'm going to give you a word. Give me the first thing off the top of your head right back. Okay. Simple enough, right? Buckle up. The 31st edition of the Rapid Fire Rampage starts now. Rampage! If you could host any artist project today, who would it be?
Outkast.
You have $1,000. You have to turn into 2,000 in 24 hours. How do you do it?
Crypto. Somebody's gonna be like, "This is not financial advice. This is not
financial advice.
We'll put all the legal bullshit in the comments,
purely for entertainment
in the description.
Yeah,
we'll cover your ass. Don't worry."
Burn One, give us one possible title of your autobiography.
Still smoking.
What are 3 things we would find in your fridge right now?
Bacon. Arden's Garden drinks. And almond milk. Man, that was boring. Nothing awesome. What do you?
No, the problem is you put bacon first. You should have kept.
I was like,
dude, you had me sold on bacon. It was completely fine.
The order was wrong.
I blacked out after bacon. I don't even know what you said for the other 2.
Burn One, if you were an emoji, which one would you be?
The one that looks like it's cooking.
Burn One, describe your sound to a deaf person.
Foreign to the ear, but familiar to the spirit.
God
Shout out to Go Ricky Go.
Okay.
What is one of the best decisions you've ever made?
Learning how to make beats. Just taking that year and saying, I'm going to make beats for this year.
And focusing on something.
This is what I'm going to do this year. Yeah, because I was hosting
like a crazy year.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to make beats for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
and
that.
blog. Make
dope.
beats and blog. Whatever random ass year. Like, that's what's your year? I'm gonna make 5 beats a day and blog. Like,
That was a beats and blog year.
That's gonna go great for you, champ. You know?
It's going to go down in history as the
Seemed
beats and
great.
blog.
Seemed great on paper. I didn't.
0 out of 10 would recommend. Like,
This is definitely not financial advice.
Yeah, no.
For sure.
Stay in school, kids.
Let's go down the roller coaster now.
Okay.
What is one of the worst decisions you ever made?
Oh man, cussing out Gucci Man. That was a terrible idea. Don't do it.
Shout out ASAP.
We cussed each other out. It was mutual, but
you meant it one time.
I rode for my homie, bro. I didn't think my homie was in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you can't imagine your homie.
Yeah, you like don't believe it blind.
You're like, no, he wouldn't do that. You just stick up for your homie, and you're like, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then the
he
argument
did.
kind of keeps going, and it goes a little left, and you're like,
He did it.
yeah,
Might have
he
done it.
definitely did it. You get off the phone, you're like, yo, he said you did this. He's like, yeah. I'm like, You didn't tell me.
You didn't tell me. You didn't
God damn,
You
bro.
should have heard what I was saying to Gucci, homie.
Terrible idea. Love you, Gooch. Love you.
Shout out, Gooch. How many
It's all love.
koala bears would fit in the White House?
2 million.
Could be accurate. On a
Sounds,
I don't know.
sounds reasonable.
Maybe. On a scale of 1 to 10, burn 1, how weird do you think you are?
Man, 10 for sure.
Love it. Slade, the short answer.
Killed it. Killed it, my guy.
With ease. We only had to do one Jeopardy sound, so.
And that was a little preemptive, too.
And it was.
Not
I was
gonna
early
lie.
on that.
Yeah.
I was. You're not wrong. Moving on to the this or that portion.
Nice.
Here we go. Hosting projects or making beats?
Making beats.
Lemon pepper or hot?
Hot.
Live bass or 808?
Live bass.
I got the shirt.
Bro, only because I play
set
a
you
little
up for-
bass myself.
I set you up for failure on that.
Only because
I'll
I
admit
play
it.
a little bass myself.
Great answer. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube all day.
Every
The
day.
king of YouTube University.
Dogs or babies?
Babies.
Shout out babies.
Gotta love babies.
Memphis rap or Atlanta rap?
How could I go against Atlanta rap, but I grew up on Memphis rap? How could I say?
We don't ask that. We ask the tough questions here on the One More Time podcast. It's our job.
But if you give me only Atlanta or Memphis rap, I would pick Atlanta rap. Atlanta rap.
If you had to stick with it forever,
Yeah.
good answer.
But it's close. Memphis is right behind Atlanta. If you had to say what's the next city, definitely Memphis.
Good answer. You have a 99% chance of winning $100,000 or a 50-50 chance at 100 million.
50-50 at 100 million.
Going for it all, people.
Risking it for the biscuit.
That's right. I like to hear it.
Yeah.
This is how we assess the risk profiles of our guests.
I've always wanted to go on a game show. This is doing it.
This is kind of
This
close.
is doing it. This is doing it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're killing two birds with one stone. We're getting you an interview and a game show appearance. You're welcome. Thank us later, Burn.
Appreciate y'all.
Ethereum NFTs, Cardano NFTs, or Solana NFTs.
Oh man, come on. Ethereum all day.
OG.
E2 coming soon.
Come soon.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Indica or sativa?
Whatever is the one that keeps you up. I never know.
Sativa.
Sativa.
Indica is Indicouch. That's how I've
Oh.
gotten told to remember it.
Oh, I think I'm gonna remember that.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good. I've never heard that, but that works.
Yep.
Hard drive or cloud storage?
I would rather go cloud, but I'm definitely hard drive right now.
Definitely both.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one, cloud. You're putting it in the
I would rather.
ones and zeros in the sky.
I would rather.
Okay. Southside Atlanta or Eastside Atlanta?
Ooh, Southside. Southside.
Robots or aliens?
Gotta rock with the aliens.
Part 2 of the Rampage.
Part 2.
Have you seen the robot videos of them dancing and doing all the shit, bro? I can't.
They're
fuck
doing
with the
too much,
robots.
right?
They're doing too much.
They're doing
Why
way
are
too
we-
much now. Why are we like helping them do more?
Who is like they? We need to give them more human-like shit.
Who are those people?
Bezos.
Who are these scientists?
Terrible, terrible. I see them.
Musk,
They're like jumping
probably.
around and like doing stuff and like. I'm freaked out.
Terrifying. If the aliens save our species from the robots, this podcast will go down in history as the first time that they speculated on that.
I'm so happy that you blessed us with that speculation.
Just
Thank you.
putting moments out into the universe.
Fair enough. Continue, please.
Final part of the Rampage. Word association. Episode 31. DJ Burn One. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go with the word association. MPC.
Groove.
Groove. Water.
Great.
It is. Zaytoven.
Water. Aquatic.
Okay. We'll take aquatic.
Nah,
We'll take
great was
that.
better.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Go with your instinct, man.
Zaytoven.
The great.
Social media.
Love it.
Casamigos.
Never had it.
Lil.
Love every rapper named Lil.
All of them.
Lil.
All the Lils.
Lil
All
fill
of
in the
them.
blank.
That's hard.
All of them.
Little fill in the blank.
France.
I love their crypto artists. They got a bunch of super dope crypto artists.
Okay.
Shout out to Polygon, Elliot Bunch, I think is how you say his name. Yeah, and a couple other people out there. But yeah, a lot of dope talent in France. Hell yeah.
Shout out. Music school.
Wish I could have went.
Can you not still?
Are you past that? I mean, he's doing a masterclass.
I mean, if you really,
He is the music school.
It would look bad.
Well, it's funny because the
Well, it's
Masterclass
like
is
Timbaland
actually
was teaching.
getting adopted and is going to be a course at a university.
Wow.
We haven't announced it
Is
yet.
that a One More Time exclusive?
Yeah.
That's a One More Time exclusive, folks.
One
you know how
more
we love
time.
our One More Time
One
exclusives.
more time.
Can't say the college just yet, but everything is in motion for next
Damn.
year for it to be
That's
like
super dope.
my production class taught off of my master class, and a homie of mine will be up there teaching it. So.
That's crazy, man.
Wow.
Well done.
So you're going to teach it and it's presenting.
No, I have a homie that's
your homie's
teaching it,
gonna
but
teach
they're
it,
going to
but
make
it's-
assignments and stuff based
your
off
curriculum.
of yeah.
Gotcha.
So cool.
Which I already have
Congrats.
somewhat of a curriculum on there of what we'll be doing and stuff.
Yeah, of
so
course.
it's like it kind of fits into that.
Wow.
But then he'll be creating the daily assignments and
That's
teaching the
sick,
class.
man. Awesome.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
pretty dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
Congrats.
But no, I'm open. I tried to go to college at the place where I went to college for a year, and they would not let me in the music program because I didn't play a fucking instrument.
Well, fuck them.
Damn.
I was already dropping hot
That
tapes.
is a requirement.
I'm like, what the fuck are y'all going to tell me? I got hot tapes
Yeah.
in the streets. I got hot tapes
It's
in the
not
streets.
enough to know music.
They did not give a fuck. They're like, we don't
Play
care about
something.
your hot
Do
tapes.
you play guitar?
Yeah,
sir?
they're like, do you know a D minor? I was like, come
They
on,
missed
man.
out on DJ Burn 1.
I should have just said I played something. Knowing what I
could've
know
gotten
now,
away
I would
with
have
it.
just bullshitted and been like, yeah,
Most likely.
I'd have been terrible. It'd have crashed and burned. All right, sorry.
Okay, we got a few more here on the word association. Blockchain.
Immutable.
Synthesizer.
Hardware.
Government.
Don't trust them. Don't trust them. Don't do it.
Chicken.
Grilled.
What a rampage. What a rampage.
Contrary to popular belief, tape is not the first thing that comes to mind when the word chicken is said.
The answer was
He's on a much healthier
tape or talk. Sorry.
Oh, talk.
The answer was talk.
chicken talk tape.
But
Bro,
we also
I'm about to get some chickens here, like at the top of the year. I'm definitely get some chickens, real chickens.
like
I got a coop.
What do you mean?
I got a coop.
Like a
I'm getting
coop?
real chickens.
Oh, he
Hell
does
yeah.
live out in the sticks now, up
Hell yeah.
on the lake.
And then
Yeah.
what do you do with them? Just get their eggs?
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
Shut
Like,
Just get a coop.
to
I guess
Burn.
they'll be kicking it. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
We're gonna hang
ladies
out.
and gentlemen, this has been DJ Burn One on the One More Time podcast.
One
What a
more
great
time.
conversation, man.
Hey, thank y'all.
Really?
Really appreciate you, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Your story is incredible.
Incredible.
I mean, the effort that you put in to make this shit happen, man. I mean, I think you're like, an obvious example of like just putting in the work. I mean, from driving around the fucking city, slinging tapes, to any store that would take them, to taking a year off and making 5 beats a day and having that like focus and discipline to try and do something new. That's incredible, man. And I think a lot of people are going to learn some great lessons from this conversation. Everything up to NFTs and kind of like the next generation of the music industry.
Yes.
Which I know Henry is super into. So I'm sure
excited.
you guys are going to nerd out about that after we wrap. But
Thanks, man.
Until next week, Henry, what are we doing?
We're getting out of here.
We're getting the fuck out. Peace.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Hop up in a foreign skirt, no. All the homie, this shit tripping, no. Middle finger to